talking about Kamala. Kamala did an interview yesterday. Okay, Rob, if you want to go to it. During the interview, the interviewer, who was just on Bill Maher defending Kamala Harris, and you have to see what she said on Bill Maher. But then let's first do this one. And then in this question, I think she asks, you're saying you're going to raise corporate taxes, but what if you don't have Senate? What if you don't have Congress? How are you going to do it? Listen to her answer. Go ahead.
Expanding that child tax credit, or you mentioned housing before, giving that extra money for a first home. If you can't raise corporate taxes, or if GOP takes control of the Senate, where do you get the money to do that? Do you still go forward with those plans and borrow?
Well, but we're going to have to raise corporate taxes, and we're going to have to make sure that the biggest corporations and billionaires pay their fair share. That's just it. It's about paying their fair share.
That's not an answer.
Expanding
You're
that
running for president. Well, you sound like a dictator. We're going to have to.
Yeah.
Right? She's asking you, how are you going to do it? Rob, can you pull the clip, if you have it, with her debriefing after the interview where she says, honest, that's the one right there. If you could play this clip. So she's not being interviewed afterwards saying, so how was it? Go ahead.
Talk about that answer. I do, but here's what's a little tricky. She doesn't answer the question around if the GOP is controlling the Senate, if she can't raise corporate taxes, where is she going to get the money from, to expand the child tax credit and do all the things she wants to do. And she says, we just have to do it. And that's great, and that's a campaign promise. But the issue is, if it means we're just going to borrow again, then what we're doing is we're just never addressing the deficit. And back in the days when you were a proud Republican, debts and deficits mattered.
Rob, and then go to her, Stephanie Ruhle, on Bill Maher.
Mm-hmm.
Go to her on Bill Maher. Yeah, right there.
Right there.
That's the one. You just had it. Right there, right there. Okay. Go for it. Watch this exchange.
Ask Kamala, say, are you for a Palestinian state if Hamas is going to run that state?
Okay.
Yes or no?
And let's say you don't like her answer. Are you going to vote for Donald Trump?
No, I'm not.
Kamala
I just said I'm not going to vote for her.
Harris is not running for perfect.
Oh,
She's
God.
running against Trump. We have two choices. And so there are some things you might not know her answer to. And in 2024, unlike 2016 for a lot of the American people, we know exactly what Trump will do, who he is, and the kind of threat he is to democracy.
I don't know.
Oh, God. Threat to democracy. Here we go. Oh, applause break from the dumbest brainwashed audience.
With Kamala,
Dumb.
we don't know her answer to anything.
Yes.
Okay,
But you know
and I
his
think
answer to everything.
And that's why I would never vote for him, and people should vote for him. But people also are expected to have some idea of what the program is of the person you're supposed to vote for. You're just not supposed to say, well, you have to vote for Y because X is this, that, and the other. Let's find out a little bit more. And I don't think it's a lot to ask her to sit down for a real interview.
90 people in the audience are awake.
Within the Democrat Party, you are not allowed to be a rational opponent of Trump.
Then
You have
I would
to
just
be-
say to that, when you move to Nirvana, give me your real estate broker's number and I'll be your next door neighbor. We don't live there.
Oh, God.
Like, Tom, what do you think? What do you think about the whole Kamala question from the beginning? Economy, what are you going to do? We have to, and into all this stuff.
Well, there's two problems here, and I just made the point about, I won't belabor it, about the reporter. You're not allowed to be a rational opponent of Trump, meaning you can't be an opponent of Trump and be rational about any criticism of Kamala Harris, because Stephanie Ruhle there is embarrassing and embarrassed herself. She's definitely a little ticked the way she's being attacked for how she conducted the interview. But on the other side, I'm sitting here wondering, did Kamala Harris understand how government really works in that moment? Did she have a rational thought about that? Because I remember Clinton having to work with Republican Congress. And Clinton, who came up and said, look, we're going to have to make some compromise. We're going to have to negotiate point by point. And there's things that they want. We have to get this. So I have to work through that Congress to make it happen. He knew. And this is after Lewinsky in his second term, where he was a real economic centrist. And so you would hear it from there. You don't hear it from her. She's like, we just have to get it done. And she goes back to the campaign things. It just shows a very vacuous, vapid, shallow uninformed candidate who's not coming out with anything that sounds like a reasoned approach. And by the way, they're running scared, Pat. If you want to talk about her poll for a split second, they're running scared. They believe, Kamala's side believes that they have one path right now. You know what that path is? Rob, do you have that chart? I'll show you the map. Over the weekend, they looked at Arizona and Nevada. There it is. Back. No, go to the map of the U.S. Right there. Other one. There we go. They believe this is where it is, Pat. See, there's no Wisconsin, there's no Nevada, there's no Arizona. Look at North Carolina and Georgia. They believe that's what they have to win. They have conceded the fact that they believe Trump's going to win Pennsylvania, the way they're spending in it, and they have conceded Arizona. But take a look at what they are. They're doing everything they can on Michigan, North Carolina, and Georgia. That is the path they think they have. Because she's not coming out and gaining any momentum at all. This election could be over at 11:30 on election night. But this is what they're trying to do. They have only two states going after.
What's her name, Adam? Stephanie
Rule.
Stephanie Rule. Okay. She's
MSNBC.
guys, obviously, I mean, Trump derangement syndrome, as we see it with a lot of people. She's on Bill Maher. That audience, by the way, I've been there. I've been in that audience. It's the worst, okay? It's the worst audience ever. But she talks all that crap on Bill Maher. She gets this, applause break. She thinks she's in charge. Kamala's campaign sees that. They get her an interview thinking it's going to be a softball interview. Then you have her in front of you and you don't challenge her. Then you go on another interview and you talk shit about her not answering the question. And this is the problem with them not holding these horrible reporters. You don't hold their foot to the fire.
And the rational guy gets slapped around.
Exactly.
And he's against Trump.
And he's against, that's what I'm saying. And he's like, I'm not going to vote for him, but you guys, it's not holding their foot to the fire and not asking the actual questions, not stopping and going, okay, Kamala, time out, stop talking with your hands. Answer the question. How are you going to do it? And we don't have no answers because people like Stephanie Rule protect them and they guide them and they make sure that they don't say anything completely stupid and they never challenge them.
Well, they want you to talk with your hands on the DNC, but they want you to do it like this.
No, meanwhile.
So I actually think that Stephanie Rule, this is actually, it's going to be a weird take. I actually think she's one of the smartest women in the business. However, she's making excuses for someone with zero policy. And that's the problem that I have with Stephanie that I'm trying to understand here. Because if you watch Stephanie, I mean, whether she's on CNBC or MSNBC, she's a beast. She's a massive economic, political correspondent. She's not an idiot.
So what happens in this case?
So hold on. So in the episode with Bill Maher, she was sitting there with it was Bret Stephens, who's a writer for the New York Times.
Yep.
Not exactly a conservative view right there. And he's basically being like, look, I'm just going to come out and say it. Yeah, Bret Stephens, this guy. I'm not going to vote for Trump. I just can't. Not my guy. But are we really going to sit here and expect nothing from Kamala? We're just going to just go with no, there's no policy. She's just going on joy and vibes. Are we really doing this? And she's like, well, what are you going to do? Vote for Trump? He's like, well, I'm not going to vote for Trump.
Yeah, because
so you see this sort of mental...
she's not answering the question.
Exactly. So you see this sort of mental gymnastics where it's like, you can't vote for that. You can't vote for that. But what are you willing to accept over here? Are you willing to accept an literally vegetable Biden if he was running? Would you vote for that? Well, it's not Trump. Are you willing to vote for a completely clueless, feckless, just weak DEI potential leader as Kamala? Well, it's not Trump. It's like, hey, are you smarter than a fifth grader? Can Billy Madison be the president? Well, it's not Trump. So the point is, they're willing to just do whatever it is, whatever the policy is, whether there's no policy, as long as it's not Trump, they're willing to vote for the person. And as Pat is basically tells us all the time, just look at the policies. You never see that they attack Trump's policies. It's always his personality. And me, I'd rather have a crazy vindictive a-hole than an incompetent bitch. In the office.
But beyond it all, there's panic. There's panic going on. You can see it. Quinnipiac is a left-leaning pollster that has the distinguished distinguished credibility afforded to the last place poller as the least accurate in the last two presidential campaigns. And yesterday they came out, even though they're left leaning, well, yeah, we think Trump is about 1 point on national basis.
Yeah,
they came out with it. They're in a state of panic. The campaign's in a state of panic. The New York Times, I am not a fan of the New York Times, but over the last 2 months, New York Times has been speaking up and saying, hey, you need to come to the microphone, and you're not having, it's been, remember they wrote the article, hey, it's been 40 days and she hasn't conducted a live, what they call an adversarial interview, where she sat down with somebody. So even the New York Times and Bret Stephens' New York Times have been saying they see it. And why are they panicking right now? The New York Times sees the ice melting beneath Kamala's feet, and it's showing up in the polls, not right-wing polls. It's showing up in the polls. Pennsylvania is almost 4 points right now. On a national level, we got highly credible polls that saying it is now about 3.6% Trump. So the ice is melting, and now you're getting infighting among the liberals that want to see her win. That's what you're witnessing there. Why are they infighting? Why is Brett and Rule infighting on Bill Maher? Because there's no victory lap, and there's no flag to wave, and they're in a panic because their person is going down the tubes, and they are true believers that believe that a liberal progressive president is the right answer. They're wrong about that, but they see the whole thing about to fall.
Yep, and great point, Tom. And Adam, you made a great point too. They're not running on any policy. Not Biden, not Kamala. It's just not Trump.
Yeah.
Okay, like tell us why we should vote for you. Trump is Hitler. That's like if you own Hyundai, Pat, and Tom's Toyota, and you ask me, so Vinny, please tell us about your car, your Hyundai. And my only answer is Toyota sucks.
Yeah.
Toyota's horrible. No. Talk to me about your car. Sell me your car. No. Toyota's shit. And if you don't like, no, that's not the point. And and going back to the point.
That's a perfect point.
Thanks, Tommy. It's like hold their foot to the fire. I wish we had one. Like Pat, that's why I would pay money. I swear to you, pay money for you to sit down with a Kamala and just ask the questions and hold their feet to the fire. And they would never do it. They would never sit down. But then that's what the people want. Answer the damn question. You're going for the most important job in the world.
You know what's interesting to me is, like when COVID happened and we started printing money. This is the part that is you're going to see where I'm going with this, Tom. Tom is so funny. When we started printing money, the first thing that I said and I thought was going to happen was gold's going to go to the roof. Nothing happened. Like, there's no way we can print this much money and gold and Bitcoin doesn't go to $250,000 or gold doesn't go to, $4,000, $5,000. Nothing happened. Okay. And it's like, there's no, and then you're just looking at everything between quantitative easing and quantitative tightening. Experts had no clue. Every expert kept getting things wrong. Everybody. And then eventually you're like, what the hell is going on here? Right. But the reality of it is we've never gone through a pandemic where we printed, $4, $5, $6 trillion the way that we did. 40% of our currency that has been printed was printed in that 2-year period, right? So we've never been in a campaign like this before. We've never been where a Democratic president steps aside with 120 days to election. I don't know what the exact timeline was, but it wasn't far, right? And then we have to immediately and so no primaries for Kamala, no getting exposed by others on Kamala.
Nope.
And then we have to just say that's her. And then her strategy is giving no answers, no interviews. If she wins, Republicans and conservatives and libertarians have to realize you have to go buy up media companies. Let's talk about a couple things with a recent fiction book that I just wrapped up. 13 and a half years I've been working on this book that was just released. The Academy. The other day I'm at Dylan's soccer practice. Guy pulls up. He's like, I'm on chapter 5. I can't even put the book down. I'm in a section with the story. I mean, the part that a lot of people are messaging me is the interview with Hitler in the book that you have to read on what he says on control a society and a country. He gives the strategy on how he did it. He's saying, if somebody wanted to destroy a country today, how would you go about doing it? There's an interview process in a vault at the Academy that section alone, I just can't. Again, I'm reading all the reviews that people are posting. Some of the people on the review on Amazon are saying, there's no way PBD wrote this book. How could he write a book like this with fiction? His background is a business. You have no idea how big of a compliment that is for me. I appreciate it when you say stuff like that, because the people that have been with me for 13 and a half years know how many times I asked them to read this book. How many times, look at Tom Smallon and say, Tom, be honest, how many times have I asked you to read this book?
I think you've asked me at least 10 times during various, it's like, I have an idea, take a look at this early draft. And it was an outline and 3 great chapters and an outline. And then I read it when it was full. Then you adopted this, you adopted that. It kept evolving like a great product.
It's exciting. I mean, it's exciting when you go through, but here's what it is, guys. Some of you guys were asking about the books being available. Of course, you can buy it on Amazon, but the autographed, signed copies, we have limited amount because we couldn't get that many from our publisher. There's a limited amount of 200 copies signed available for you to pick up. You can go to vtmerch.com. Rob, if you could be kind enough to put the link below, guys will have access to the book, The Academy. Cannot wait to have you read it and send me the reviews.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.